You guys familiar with a book called the Bible? Yeah. Well, in the Bible, there's this man named King David, right? And there's these people called the Philistines. They had a man named Goliath who was a rapist and a murderer. And they all gave in to rape and murder. The Philistines. Samson had to deal with them. David had to deal with them. People that will do things that are uncouth and not natural and unhealthy. Centurions, warriors, That's that whole nation bringing that warrior back. Yeah, I told them to go kill over money. The reason why we have prostitution is money. Okay. Virtue, Ruth and Esther. Okay. How many celebrities do you see with virtue on TV like Ruth and Esther? All right. And then you have these people that pretend, they put on hijabs or they go on the Hallmark Network and I'm a good Christian. Are you living the Lord's Prayer? Okay. How does that make you any different than Jennifer Lopez or Britney Spears or Taylor Swift or Beyonce? How does it make you any different than the people that do softcore pornography to keep themselves multi-billionaires and talk about their dysfunctional sex life all the time because we're not living the Lord's Prayer? How does that make you any fucking different than them? Right? They're spraying poison right now. Yeah. I heard the little quad runner thing. I thought, no, maybe that must be irrigating. No, they're spraying Roundup. So any parts that are close by, I got to clean up and I got to suffer through it one more time. It's, fuck, I got to cut that too. But, in the story with David with the 250, it's not the 300. It's not the propaganda movie about the Spartans that fucked each other in the ass to give each other courage to be Democrats, right? And Republicans. Now, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the 250. With the 250, there was one time after David took care of Goliath, right? The Philistines got all head up because they're the badasses of the fuckers, right? They got 1,000 guys, and they came in, and they gotta let Betsy in the house. They came in, and they did a hit and run thing, and they took so they were afraid of the Hebrews at that time because they had David. And David inspired them to be courageous. Now, the Philistines had 1,000. The Hebrew men were doing their field work and their whatever. And while they were out in the fields, like the Hebrew men were out, ringing the sheaves, the Philistines, like Custer, got together like Custer on the wash house and raided the village and took all the hot women they could that fought. They fought. Took all the hot women they could. Okay, and the kids for slaves. And they ran off of them. And and then they saw the men come back and they began to running on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. And the men went running after them. Told the other women, hey, take the kids, go be safe, we'll be back with the rest of them, Okay, you go get them, right? That's what happened, The Jews, these were the Israelis. Not the people we see right now on TV fighting with Benjamin Netanyahu through espionage and money. We're talking about people like me. All right. We're talking about Gabe and Mike, Buddy Pritchard, Justin Nail. Okay, go do this. Come on, guys, let's go. Oh, we're talking about my family. Okay. We're not talking about people on TV. We're talking about real human beings who will get up and stand for the Gospels. Patrick, Patrick, come on, Patrick. My son, Bob Marley, I don't know what's wrong with his kids. I don't even know what's wrong with my kids nowadays. Okay. Oh, it's because I can't raise them. They've been raised by Peter Fabre and the Pentagon and Washington commanders and shit like that. That's why. That's what's wrong with them. That's what's wrong with Steph. That's what's wrong with David, the one they call Ziggy. That's what's wrong with Julian. That's what's wrong with Damien's. they don't believe in me, and they don't get to be loved by me every day. So I get it. You know, they're afraid. They need money to live here, and they need money to fucking reproduce. Yeah, everybody thinks that. Well, you might want to stop thinking. You think you're thinking. And so making a long story short, let's cut down shorten down the story. They get halfway there, and some of the guys get this idea, you know, hey, we need to go back and protect the women and children in case we can't get back, make it, right? And David goes, what? Man, it's your wife. My wife's back there. The women and children fought, and they didn't get my wife. They got yours. They got your kids. My kids are back there. I'm doing this to get your wife and kids. This is what happened. Okay. And the guy goes, well, we'll go fall back. Where are you going to get them? Okay. We'll fall back, and because, you know, your wife and kids are vulnerable. I'm going to go back and protect your wife and kids. Okay. David looks him in the eye and tells him, because he's not a dictator. We're not dictators. We don't tell people what to do. We don't kill people. You're a deserter. We're not like the Philistines and the Washington Commanders and the George Pattons and the Adolf Hitlers and the Winston Churchills and the Indira Gandhis who get elected in government and stay in power. We're not like Margaret Thatcher naked on a cold day. You know, we're men. Make a decision. You know, be a man. Okay. The guy says, we're heading back. And David looks at him and goes, you're not going to get, you know, the regard, the respect. Your children, your wives aren't going to be able to look at you like you're a faithful man who does what needs to be done to keep us all safe. Okay, well, you go right back into our village and say you're there to protect them and keep them safe. See what my wife and kids say. Okay, you going to keep us safe? Okay, Dad told us about you. He said that your faith wasn't very strong. They were the people like Michael Youssef. Oh, David was bad. He was bad. He told Jonathan to lie for him, and he was sitting there, and then he had a magic prayer. I tell you, he had a magic prayer, he's saying. He had a sacred chord to use to please the Lord. David is the Lord. You gonna please himself? You guys do that with Jesus too. Dear Jehovah, since I'm in the room, I need you to help me, not physically be murdered by the people that won't accept me as God. That's what they think he's saying. That's what they think he's doing. Okay? You just go back and protect my wife and kids. Okay? All you Washington Commanders, all you General Pattons, all you U-2s, all you SR-71s, you just go back to D.C. and the federal building there next to the park, and you go to the library, next to the library, the city fucking building, whatever they call that thing. You go back to Santa Fe, and you do your job. All right? It's nothing like 300. It's nothing like the Spartans. Okay? These stories, okay, are based on faithful, loving reality, and not arrogant, egotistical, violent warrior culture that puts us all at risk because we don't teach people to live faithful, loving lives. Okay? There are very rare human beings throughout history where people get together and come to, you can feel the goddamn crap in the air. I hate that Roundup stuff. But I expect to be uncomfortable till the people, okay, that manipulate people with money and technology, okay, everywhere, but especially in this valley, okay, are good and dead through the technology. And the technology, it's not the technology doing it. The technology, it's just like saying it's not the robot doing it. Okay, the robot understanding me and then being like David in the 250 and doing what needs to be done. Okay, I'm taking the invention, okay, of the people who have delusions of creation, and I am putting them in the ground like a dog with rabies. Okay, so when Zeke's buried, nobody comes up because they have to get a paycheck from somebody who says money's valuable and sprays Roundup on his grave. Okay? These sermons are more important than anything you'll hear on TV talking about voting for president and getting up and voting and how important it is to vote for president for prostitute and pimp money. Okay? When I told that to Dad yesterday and he got upset with me, he said, I wish you wouldn't sit there and say that they turned Jesus into their pimp and prostitute God, because he is God. And I was saying, Dad, you can believe what you want to believe. Okay, but if you believe he's God, then obey his commands without fear and do it faithfully. Okay, do any of those people that turn Jesus into their pimp and prostitute God obey Jesus' commands? He says no. Well, then that's what they're doing. You want me to lie to you? Okay, I tell you, I talk to Jesus. I don't talk to Michael Youssef. I don't listen to Michael Youssef. I don't talk to Bobby Schuller. I don't listen to Bobby Schuller. They're pimps and prostitutes that use Jesus as their God. Okay, I'm a man who restores the manhood that Jesus inspires in us when we're faithful to the glory of God. Okay? And then I always tell them, if you believe Jesus is your God, and Jesus tells me this, then you have to obey his commands without question. You have to, your devotion to God, okay, has to be without question. So when he says, stand up and teach everybody to the commands that he gave us before crucifixion, forgive debt and trespass, love one another, faithful peace. If you're not willing to do that, okay, you're not going to be written down in eternity. Your pages in heaven are not there with your God, Jesus, or your Lord, depending on how you choose to worship. Okay, so you have to make a choice. You're either going to obey your Lord or God, or you're not. In heaven, obey your Lord and your God. Hell, do whatever you want. You got freedom. You can vote for it. Peace out.